Streetwise opera helping homeless people to build new lives. Now, it's been reported that the UK launched more vegan products than any other nation last year, and that number is set to increase further, with the news this week that high street bakers Greggs is working on vegan versions of all its best-selling products, following the success of its meat-free sausage roll earlier this year. Estimates say that a quarter of us could be on completely meat-free diets by 2025. Campaigners say that more people should turn to veganism in order to protect animals, help the environment and also improve our health. But are they putting too much pressure on people to give up food they enjoy? Or is it the right thing to do? Well, here to discuss those issues are athlete and former vegan Tim Shieff, director of vegan charity Viva, Juliet, chair of Forest Green Rovers, Dale Vince, and still with us is journalist Ella Whelan. Well, Ella, Greggs are making vegan versions of all their best-selling products. Pret A Manger have done something similar with their veggie chain of restaurants. This is a vegan revolution, and you need to get on board.
Well, I think that certainly it's a fad sounds like a nasty word, but what I mean is the popularity of veganism has excelled to the extent to which you think this is a bit of a fashion, and it's certainly one which is lucrative for companies. I mean, there was an interview with one of the bosses of Greggs. It's about how I sold Greggs to the middle classes, and how do you do that? You turn everything vegan. So the extent to which I'm swayed by this is limited, but I also think that there's a more serious note to this, that veganism and that kind of political lifestyle, the politicisation of a lifestyle, has meant that we've got some very zealous campaigners essentially ordering around certain sections of society, you know, stupid people who don't know about the environment, who don't know about their health, who really should do what we tell them to do and stop eating meat, and that rankles me. Yeah,
so, Juliet, you vegans are telling everybody else what to do, you know, making us look like we're dumb.
Well, I think the issues are so serious. I've just spent the last 2 years investigating, for example, pig farms. We exposed one of the biggest ones and Tesco finally dropped them. So government's complicit in this and major retailers, the cruelty is worse than ever because intensive farming is worse than ever and those animals are going through hell. We have a responsibility through changing our diet to stop that cruelty, because it's the only way, because industry just rallies around them and allows this to continue. And then we have the United Nations this month issuing a report saying 1 million species are at risk of extinction. Now, the vast majority of those extinctions are being driven by animal agriculture. So we, as a nation, but as you know, as peoples of the world, have a duty to look at this and think, actually, we don't have to lobby Boris Johnson, thank God. We can do something ourselves. So I'd say veganism is actually really empowering, because you can go in a supermarket or a restaurant and vote with your wallet. It's a fantastic, positive thing to do.
Tim, you've been on both sides of the fence. Yep. You were a vegan influencer. You were a top-level athlete. You were even on the programme Ninja Warrior UK. Here you are in action, and that's on vegan fuel. So that's when you were on a vegan diet, isn't it?
Yeah.
You shocked hundreds of thousands of followers, though, by revising your position and saying you wanted to eat meat.
Yeah.
Why on earth did you do that?
It took me a long while to realise that it was not good for my health, and I was really stuck in the dogma and tried everything within a vegan spectrum to get my health back. Joint problems, depression, digestion issues, brain fog, and I really couldn't see out of it, and I took desperate measures. Eventually, the last thing I thought I'd do was consume an animal product, felt health and vitality flood back into my body, openly shared it.
The iron, the nutrients, what was it?
Something that's just bioavailable that's in animal products that we've always consumed, that's got us as a species to this point.
Did you feel pressurised to be a vegan?
Not in the first place. It was a conscious choice. I cared about the earth. I do care about the earth. I care about animals. I care about humans. And so I want to make the best choice for that. And so I got into veganism. It was, at that stage, the best choice to do that. And then, given new information, listening to my body, looking at research, looking at both sides of the argument, I found new ways to do that. And for me, it's about going local now, rather than... They're catching on to the green pound. They want to... In supermarkets, you're getting taken over with all these products. I go to my local farm shop, get an allotment, grow your own produce.
When you were a vegan influencer, did you pressurise other people?
I did, yeah. I was absolutely one of those who pressurised my family, friends, guilt trip, telling people my understanding of animals shouldn't suffer and all that.
OK, Dale, what do you think of that? So you run Forest Green Rovers. It's a vegan football club. We've actually done a piece in a previous series of Sunday Morning Live on your football club. It's really interesting. But when you think of football, you think of burgers, you think of hot dogs. Are you just ramming down your views down football fans' throats?
No, not at all. I think, you know, football's an interesting kind of place to take the message of veganism, but it's a really important message. You know, it's not just the animal cruelty, but that's a big deal. You know, 1 billion animals a year in this country are brought up in inhumane conditions and slaughtered. It's the second biggest driver of climate change in the world, and it's really impactful. It's bad for human health, and taking that message into the world of football, I think, was really kind of counterintuitive. You know, we've definitely not been preaching to the choir. It's been fun.
I mean, we heard Tim there say that he pressurised people. That's not fair, is it?
Oh, we don't do that. We simply
don't give them an option, do you?
Yeah, well, we say bring your own food. If you don't like what we make, bring your own food. But, you know, that's the same if you go to any restaurant. If you go to a pizza restaurant and ask for a curry, you're not going to get one, are you?
But you can have a meat option, you can get a vegan option, and you can get a vegetarian option.
Can you?
In most places, they offer, don't they?
Recently, I think you can get a vegan option in a pizza house, yeah. That's quite rich.
So you can, but you're not giving that option,
Yeah, but you see, I don't want to be a part of the meat trade. And if it's a question of choice, should I be forced to be a part of the meat trade so that somebody can come to a football game, which is 2 hours a fortnight on average, and have what they normally eat, which is meat? Can they not go for 2 hours a fortnight without meat?
What do the players think of it?
They like it. They feel the impact on their performance. Several of our players have gone vegan in their own time because we don't make them go vegan. We just only feed them vegan food. And several of our fans have gone vegan as well, and they feel the difference. And you'll find players in the Premier League that have gone vegan as well for performance issues and to avoid soft tissue injuries.
Juliet, just so talking about that and organisations going vegan, Goldsmiths University have announced last week that they were banning burgers, and not banning burgers is not going the whole the way and being vegan. The UN has been pushing this plant-based diet. It feels like a lot of meat eaters are being put under pressure.
I hope meat eaters are being put under pressure for the right reasons, and that is when the United Nations say, actually, the world needs to go to a plant-based diet, otherwise it's going to die. We are now living in the 6th mass extinction. As I'm speaking, dozens of animals are going extinct daily, and this is being driven by animal agriculture, first and foremost by beef and dairy, and then by pigs and poultry. Now, Tim says, oh, I wasn't healthy, but just please remember the science is what I'm interested in, peer-reviewed science.
Tim, it's the science.
Vegans get less heart disease, less diabetes, less obesity. I'm getting pretty old now, and I've got more energy than a lot of people half my age, and I've been vegan for 30 years. I'm really healthy, and I'm never ill, or hardly ever ill, the odd cold. And my friends who are of a similar age seem to be going down with things left, right and centre. If you do it right...
It's not scientific, is it?
No, that's not, but neither was his. But from a science perspective, and that's what we look at, vegans, for example, get 1/5 less of all cancers. Really important diseases. If a drug came out that could do this, what veganism does, they'd be selling billions and billions of pounds worth of this drug. But you can do it yourself, you can empower yourself. And going vegan's a fantastic thing. Go on Viva's Vegan Recipe Club. There are hundreds and hundreds of recipes. It's something to enjoy and embrace.
We'll come to you in a minute, but let's hear from vegans, vegetarians and meat eaters at home, Ria.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Well, Mark's got in touch to say, with an ever-increasing global population, we will have to turn to a more vegan-based diet if we are to thrive as a species. We simply do not have the land available to provide meat for everyone. Helen says veganism is an eating disorder based on irrational guilt. And Nicola says on Facebook, milk and dairy is bad for you. Meat can cause cancers. We do not need meat and dairy, as I have proved for the last 33 years. And finally, William says, I don't like most vegetables. I like most meat. So please allow me the choice to eat what I please, as I give vegans the same. Fair point.
Yeah, really interesting points. And I want to put this point to you, Ella. We're a nation of animal lovers. St Edward's Prep School in Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, they're coming under fire for being speciesist because of their petting farm. Now, animal rights charity PETA say, like sexism, racism and all other toxic isms, speciesism, the idea that species are here for humans to treat as toys or props, use and abuse, has no place in the educational system. What do you make of that?
Well, PETA obviously doesn't understand the seriousness of sexism and racism to compare it to speciesism, so that's one issue. But I think also it's a good example. It's a ridiculous example in my point of view, but it's a good one because it shows the nature in which this debate is all about removing choice from people. Like, for example, it's actually very important for young kids to interact with animals in a way that allows them to be educated about the world, and so that kind of removing that choice undermines that.
But we won't have a world if we keep going the same way.
Well, that's questionable as well. I mean, I think that part of the problem with the whole vegan debate is that campaigners position themselves as, like I said, the intelligent ones who know the science and everyone else is stupid. I think that part of a better position for me would be, let's expand the choice. What about, would you be in favour of growing lab meat? I mean, meaning that our personal lifestyles can stay the same, but we do better for the planet? Why ban people
Would you have lab meat in your football club?
We don't need it. Because plants are better for us, and it's there for us. Most of the world is vegan. It's a natural.
It's about choice,
but what about being relaxed about choice? Well, lab meat doesn't do the problem that you're saying about being cruel to animals.
But lab meat would be really intensive in terms of energy and inputs into it to feed ourselves. If it's farmed, you put 10 times as much into a cow as you get out in terms of protein. It won't be a lot different in the lab. There's just no point in doing it because plants have everything that we need.
I mean, Tim, you're the only person who's been on both sides of this.
Been on both sides.
I mean, what do you make of that? What Dale's doing at Forest
The
Green
intention's great, and I think we should all cut down on meat consumption and look at our diets consciously. And certainly, I commend Juliet on the work investigating the pig farms. But there's wars between vegans and local farmers, and we're supporting our big supermarkets buying these products with 20 ingredients and packaging, rather than going to our farmers, learning how to grow our own produce, getting a relationship to the animals and the land. That's what we're disconnected from. It's causing this problem.
Go into supermarkets, they'll buy a steak, and they don't realise that something has lost its life.
The thing is,
people don't know that, do they? I mean,
of course they do.
But do people?
We're not connected. We should face it, though. We should go to farms and see slaughterhouses with our own eyes, and then feel that. And then when we eat the food with we can choose to or not to eat meat at that point.
I agree, but in the UK, we kill, as Dale said, 1 billion animals a year in the UK. Over 90% of those animals are factory farmed, and free range is not the answer because that is absolutely damaging the environment, destroying the environment.
Vegan's not the answer. That damages the environment as well.
No, it does not.
It does.
The United Nations have said, 145 scientists from over 50 countries, that the call is to go vegan, essentially. We have to sit up and take notice. It's all right to say, oh, I haven't got the choice. But we've got so much choice in the UK on a vegan diet, so many hundreds and hundreds of products.
It's all about restricting choice.
And if that means saving the world, no, you eat better, you eat wider choice. When I went vegan, I ate so much more.
We are running out of time, so...
It's about saving the world, saving the planet, saving our health.
Save the earth.
So go vegan.
Yeah, well, we all want to save the planet, don't we? Dale, I'm afraid...
the lifestyles of human beings, not animals.
We are out of time. Thank you all very much indeed. Well, we've been talking about veganism in society, but for sports people, their diet has added significance. Ria is out